This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
I think the biggest thing there is listening. So listening to our customers. Why are they, unhappy with the service? Why are they unhappy with the product? And truly listening to make sure that we're providing the right answer or the right empathy. So at HubSpot, we have these values called HEART, and the E is empathy. So do you have empathy for understanding of your customer might be upset over something you think is small, but it's actually really, really big to their business. It is crucial to their business. Listening and solving for our customers. I love at HubSpot, we listen to our customers. We love to hear from our customers. If you hear from our CEO or any of our leaders, customers are we want to hear from them. I mean, it's really cool. We actually have each quarter in our company meeting, a customer comes in and speaks live to us.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you in your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Brittany Talty from HubSpot. I'm very excited to have you on today, and it's really great to see you again. I know I already said this before, but me and Brittany talked a while ago, and it's really nice to be able to catch up with you again.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, Shannon.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So could you just to start off tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your role, and then kind of how you've gotten to this point, what led you up to this point, and what you're liking about it.
Perfect. Yeah. So my role is enablement manager at HubSpot. And what that essentially entails is I think about it in three different ways. So we think about behavior change, updates of process change, or knowledge that our internal teams here at HubSpot would need to then help their customers have greater success with HubSpot and their businesses. Uh, so it can be anywhere from creating e-learning trainings, live trainings, FAQ resources, sitting with different stakeholders across the business to come up with plans to enable our reps and also think about how rep mindshare is going to be taken up. So as you can imagine, having all these things thrown at you as a customer success manager, or even if a marketing manager or a support rep, my job is to think almost like a Tetris game of how do we layer it in so reps can absorb the materials and apply the materials. So I'm kind of like that Tetris builder. Is the easiest way to explain it.
No, it's definitely brilliant.
I think I took, and I think the question is, how did I kind of fall into this field? And I really did fall into enablement. And I think anyone that you talk to in the enablement field will say the same thing, is it's a relatively new field in the grand scheme of things. And most enablement practitioners fall into enablement. There's not a career path necessarily set up of you go to college for this degree, you kind of step into here and you fall into enablement. I started, my background was really in marketing. I worked at marketing agencies, did a lot of sponsorship work and analytics work. And as I started to think about where I wanted to go in my career, I found that I was following the HubSpot blog for marketing tips, business tips. I was downloading their ebooks. I was being that sponge and absorbing. And so one day it just dawned at me, wait, hey, I like HubSpot. I'm going to apply to HubSpot. So I applied and moved to HubSpot and moved to Boston and started off as an implementation specialist, which is now called customer onboarding specialist. And those are our experts that work the first 90 to 120 days with our new customers. They help optimize HubSpot, help set up marketing campaigns, sales campaigns, sales optimization, really making sure that customer can get in and start using HubSpot and seeing that value pretty quickly. Um, Lo and behold, I think 2 years into it, not even, um, I started noticing gaps on our team of reps. We're having all these questions, but like didn't know where to go to get the answers, or marketing or legal or product would roll something out, but it wasn't in rep speak, to say the least, of like, it made sense marketing wise, it made sense legal wise. When you actually are talking to a customer, sometimes that jargon doesn't work and you need to be able to understand and like explain it to a customer in their terms. So I went to my manager and said, "Hey, can I have my quote unquote funnel turned off? So new customers coming in to work with for a month. I have an idea. I want to go work with our marketing, legal, and product teams to see if I can get more information to help me and my teammates answer these questions better." And she was like, "You know what? It's a great need. Go forth and do it." In the meantime, our enablement team was just getting started for customer success. It was a team of 3. I admired them all greatly. I started getting involved and I was like, "Hey, tap me if you need help. Tap me if you want projects." And then a role opened up. And so December of 2019, I stepped into enablement. And my first big project was helping our team and customers navigate COVID, what that meant for their businesses and how I went trial by fire, like straight into, that first days, if you think about it, was right when COVID was hitting. So I did transition myself to fully remote, but had to help all of our new hires because we do new hire onboarding transition to fully remote. We had to train all of our skills program that used to be in person to fully remote. We had to help our reps transition to fully remote. Meanwhile, I'm going through this new role, figuring it out myself, but having to be this calm, cool, and collected enablement.
Awesome. Horrible during COVID to manage. Listen, you're not just as angry as all of these other people.
It was definitely interesting. And it's just evolved over time. Like our team is now, oh, I don't know. I think we have 50 people on the enablement team, and we're like fully immersed in our go-to-market teams. So we work across sales, we work across customer success, and we kind of have a full engine of we have learning experience designers, we have facilitators, myself, the enablement partner, who really focuses between connecting the business with the team and the team with the business and making sure we're executing on all of the business goals. So it's really evolved. It's really cool. No day is the same. I could be working on different projects on every day, and I have to work globally. So I work with everyone across the globe at HubSpot. So it's learning how to navigate different stakeholders, different cultures, different types of customers, um, to get the message across. Was that a good summary?
No, that was an amazing summary, actually. Thank you. It like fully encompassed everything that I probably would have asked about it. So that's actually fantastic. If okay, so if all of these things are constantly changing and that's kind of what your job is for, what do you think like the biggest challenge comes with that? Because I'm sure the challenge itself is that everything is constantly changing, so you have to readjust. But what do you think the hardest part about that is?
I think the biggest challenge is knowing if I feel all of this change innately or feeling like, "Ooh, this is a lot." I multiply that by 10 for our reps, and then I multiply that by 20 for our customers. Because at the end of the day, they're using all of our products, so they're feeling the change and it impacts their businesses. And same with our reps, if it impacts their work process or their workflow process or how they interact with customers, or like they need to be able to answer, like they're the trusted advisors to their customers. So I need to make sure that they feel that they can be the trusted advisor. So it's constantly saying like, I'm good with change. I ebb and flow, but I need to make sure I'm processing it and helping others process it and seeing clearly. So sometimes that's playing devil's advocate of like, hey, let's push back there. Thinking strategically with our leaders of how do we get this messaging out, or making sure that we are anticipating. That's my favorite word, is like we anticipate what questions our reps and customers can ask and get ahead of that.
Mm. So,
So like if a good enablement plan comes out, we have a solid FAQ. Oh, we have a solid FAQ of like, we've already anticipated the question. We already have the answer for them, is what I would love to always come up with.
I think that's really great. I think anticipating what customers want is something that's very important in any kind of work. I actually just before this had another podcast guest who just told me um I think it was a quote from Jeff Bezos, which I thought was kind of funny. Where he said something like you have to anticipate what the client is going to need before they need it, or it was adjacent to something like that. And I think feel what you will about Jeff Bezos. I think that's a great quote because um I do agree with it. I think that especially with a constantly changing landscape, you have to like make sure that you're ahead of the game so that you have less disgruntled customers coming to you because they might come no matter what because again things are constantly changing and that's not your fault. But it's nice to
I think I think a good book that gave me a lot of this perspective, and I just pulled it up to make sure I phrased it correctly. It's called "Seeing Around Corners" by Rita McGrath, and it's all about anticipating what's next around the corner and how you can be a better business executive by seeing around those corners. And the best leaders really do see around the corner, so they're not just like, what am I facing today? What's coming around the corner, and how am I planning accurately for what's around the corner?
I think I'm just doing that on the day to day, but like I'm constantly living in fear.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily fear, but it's like, how can you spot the key inflection points that are coming? I mean, let's be clear, nobody saw COVID coming. You can't that is not an inflection
You
point that
couldn't I mean, maybe if you're like
anyone saw.
those apocalyptic people that like create bunkers and different things like that, maybe they anticipated it.
Right. But it's just like understanding that they're going to come, and how do you harness that disruption? Like, how do you take it and spin it into a win? And so if you can kind of anticipate or see around the corner and ebb and flow, it makes it easier for you to adjust to change, but also your customers to adjust to that change if you've been trying to, like, get ahead of it.
So, say there's a scenario where you're not ahead of the game and like part of your customer base is unhappy with the service that they're getting. How do you go about dealing with something like that? Like how do you adjust?
Yep. I think the biggest thing there is listening. So listening to our customers. Why are they, unhappy with the service? Why are they unhappy with the product? Uh, and truly listening to make sure that we're providing the right answer or the right empathy. So, um, at HubSpot, we have these values called heart, and the E is empathy. So, do you have empathy for understanding of like your your customer might be upset with you over something you think is small, but it's actually really, really big to their business. Like, it is crucial to their business, and it could be, "I'm not making money because of XYZ," or, "I'm not seeing the value because I feel your product's not doing enough." So it's listening and solving for our customers. I love at HubSpot, we listen to our customers. We love to hear from our customers. If you hear from our CEO or any of our leaders, customers are like, we wanna hear from them. I mean, it's really cool. We actually have each quarter in our company meeting, a customer comes in and speaks live to us, and talks about their experience, and they do, like, a report card to us. Like, they are open and honest, and we're like, "If you could wave a magic wand, what would you want in HubSpot?" Or, like, "Where's the feedback of what we can do better?" And I think that's a really cool mechanism that we've implemented at HubSpot because it's one, you get to see your customer and they highlight, everyone they've talked to at HubSpot from a support rep to their sales rep. And then they're open and honest. And like they love that they can give the feedback. And that's something that we follow up with, like coming up with betas, or we make sure product tiers, or we are like, there's a direct line. It's not just like, yep, I hear you, customer. And we go on to the next thing. It's no, I hear you, customer. Let me go advocate and see if we can help solve for that. Um, And our customers solve for themselves too. We have a whole community board where people will like post different ideas of what they're doing, and customers kind of share within themselves. So it's like this open community of feedback and empathy, which is a really cool place to be, of hearing feedback and being able to apply it pretty quickly here at HubSpot.
That's really sweet. And I that's That's very relative to I talk to a lot of agencies on this podcast that do adjacent things that we do. And I think that the ones that are considering the customers and constantly learning from them are doing the best because there are definitely a lot of people that are in a certain line of work and they have been in it for however long and truly believe in their work enough that they think they know better than their clients. And, in some cases you do. In some cases you have to convince your client that they should do something that they don't think they should do. And it's a good thing for them. But
Mm.
I think it's also it's really nice to be able to listen to them and be able to adjust based off of those opinions because you're providing a service for these customers and you need to you need to listen to them because you're they're not going to leave happy if you don't have this kind of relationship.
Right. And at the end of the day, we're all humans. Yes, we're all working in the business world. We're all generating revenue. We're all trying to make big change. But at the end of the day, we're human and taking that, I feel like taking that step back and recognizing that human and sometimes, a customer could be coming to you frustrated about something, but it's really not what they're frustrated about. Maybe, they just had a hard one-on-one or there's something going on at work or there's something going on at home. And this one little thing that's really not that big or should it be is, I mean, I'm sure you got it. Like I like to say the analogy of like you're just having a tough day and you walk past a doorknob and your sleeve gets caught on the doorknob and you just turn and lose it at the doorknob of like that. That was the one thing that like drew over the edge. Like it could be that. And so leading with empathy is what we always like to do here. And like leading with questions and like leading with an understanding can solve so many more problems across the board as long as you're like we're all human. We're not robots. We all have feelings.
Yeah,
You could be
exactly.
feeling under the weather. Your dog could be sick. Your kid could be sick. Like there's so many more things to take into consideration in the business world. And sometimes I think that that gets lost when you deal with somebody that's maybe upset or coming after you. Not after you, but like upset and voicing their opinion. Like sometimes it's just like, okay, it's okay. We'll take a deep breath and we'll solve it together.
Yeah, no, I really admire people that are able to deal with customers that way, and I think that's something that it's interesting. So I live in Philly, and I don't know how familiar you are with the city, but I when I worked in customer service, like in college and everything, I always remembered customers telling me it felt like too much that I was being so nice to them. And I was like, "What is going on that me being normal, like, me thinking that this is normal is, like, they're telling me this." Like, I'm like, "I don't understand." And I think it just, like it really goes a long way to just be patient with someone, like, even if they're not, um not happy initially. And I think that in any profession, but specifically when you provide a service, because you kind of are there to make them happy. Like you can't make everyone happy because again, as you said, we're all human. But it's you can change someone's day around by just being patient with them being angry. Like I've the amount of times that I've talked to people where they're frustrated at something that like may not be our fault or their fault. There's just like a glitch or something. And
Right.
um just being patient with them and being like, we're talking to people about this. Like let's get a fix for you or whatever, instead of responding with any kind of passive aggression or anything silly, is they'll be a completely different person by the end of, like, the email. Like, then, like, by the end of the day, they're like, "Thank you so much." Like, "Oh, you're so amazing. Thank you so," and, like, the first email was like, "You guys suck. Like, this is why I don't, like, do this or that." And it's very funny because it's like, yeah, that is sometimes all it takes. It's just being,
Right.
patient with someone.
And I think working where I work has given me like, I've never been on our support team, but I see our support team and I see how hard they work for our customers and asking these questions of like, if you're reaching out to customer support or customer service, it's usually because you're having trouble. You're having an issue. You're stuck. So I feel like whenever I reach out, I take that and like to your point, I feel like I'm super kind to people. And they're always like, oh my gosh, thank you for not yelling at me or thank you for not being like, I'm like, no, I am. frustrated, but I'm reaching out to you to hope we can kind of solve this together. Whether it's like through chat or on phone or like customer service in a store. Like, I think it all just comes back to, I think, especially these days when you're chatting with people, you forget at the end of the day, sometimes it is actual human. Like, there is AI out there. I know there's chatbots out there, but sometimes at the end of the day, it's just a human and they're trying to do the best that they can to solve for you. And just like you said, that kindness and gratitude of like, have a great day, or like, I don't know. I think I talked on the phone to one customer service at Verizon for like an hour, one guy, and we just like started chit chatting as he was like, trying to solve what was going on in the back end. And he was like, "Yep, I'm solving it." But we were chatting and he was like, "This was the nicest conversation I've." He's like, "I'm ending my day on such a nice note." And I was like, "No, thank you for bearing with me and trying to like." It was a weird issue. They had never seen it before, so there was like a lot of uncovery. His like supervisor joined the call at one point. I was like, "No, I know you're all trying. I'm confused as you are as like what's happening." But yeah, kindness goes a long way. Kindness and empathy, I think, is if you can bring that into everything, you're golden.
Exactly. No, I appreciate having working in a job that has a customer service position. I think changes your life. I just because you see how much they deal with. I think that is something I've always seen. I don't even know in for shows and stuff how mean and disgruntled people can be to customer service. I've seen I don't even know extended family on the phone with Verizon yelling at them. I don't wanna be that person. They don't those aren't the people that are causing your problem. The people that you are talking to are almost never involved in the problem that you have. So it's like it's very funny
Right.
because I know there's a lot of, like, displaced emotions and everything, and actually that can feed into my next question. Um,
Mhm.
and you kind of, discussed this lightly this whole time, but, how do you think psychology plays into your job? Like what kind of factors do you consider when ensuring customer satisfaction? I guess outside of the things that you'd mentioned already, which is just like genuine kindness and consideration.
Yeah, I think it comes down to, if you think about change, there's the change curve, um, for everyone. And you can be the best person that says like, I'm good with change. But human nature does not like change, um, innately. I even say I'm good with change, but I know there's certain types of change where I'm like, I don't. I'll pick myself up and move across the country and go through that change, no problem. But like, you change my Pilates instructor, and for some reason I'm like, "Oh, I don't like that instructor. I like my instructor." So I think that's something that always plays into heart is like everyone goes to change differently. I think about that with our customers. I am hyper focused on it with our reps of like some reps are going to go through that change curve pretty quickly and accept and be ready to go. Some are going to get stuck in that questioning phase where they're really just going to like hyper fixate and want to ask a lot of questions. And that's okay too. We got to help them like answer the questions. There's some that are going to be just totally resistant because I've been doing this way for so many years and it's been working for me. Why do I need to change? Um, so I think psychology and in marketing and business really plays around that change curve of like it it's different for every person. It's different for every type of business too, as a whole of how to go through uh change. And then on the second part, there's also and this is something I'm not going to be able to articulate really well because I don't know the name of the brain parts, but when you learn something new or you take in a new knowledge, it usually sits in the frontal lobe of your brain. But when you get highly stressed or put under pressure, where your brain goes and the habits that it refers to is in the back of your brain, and I'm forgetting what area of the brain is. So you can learn all these new skills, you can learn all these new knowledge, but if you don't repeat it or you don't have that repetition of that new habit, when you get in a stressful situation, you're going to revert back to what you've known and drilled in. So that's another layer of change of you could say like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to file a ticket this way and go through this way, but then I, get on a stressful call. I'm like, I'm going to go this way and just do what I know. So it's hard for the human brain unless you've got that repetition to kind of have that stuck in like a habit, which is really cool to think about. Of I think I told you earlier, like I'm learning how to mountain bike, and there's the basics that I keep coming back to of like one finger on each brake, even pedals, head forward. It's just like constantly repeating before I start to get into the more complex things, to drill it into the back of my brain so it becomes the habit. So then I can start to ingest new information. But if you don't habit stack and you don't move from front to back of the brain, you don't really actually learn. So I think those are the two psychology things that I really think come into play of like learning and marketing and business is the change curve and then just the habit stacking.
I really like both of those sentiments because I think that you can apply them to almost any part of life, not only marketing and business. I mean, like psychology, I guess, should be applied to everything and how you're thinking about things all the time because I think it makes you a more empathetic and understanding person. But I like when concepts that make you a more empathetic and understanding person are applied to business because you hear those things less in the business world or the corporate world, and that makes me upset because I think that understanding goes a long way.
Yeah. I actually got my undergrad degree in business with a minor in psychology, and I feel like I revert to my minor more often than not in the business world than I do to my actual business degree. So I thought it was very I think if I could give advice to anyone that wants to go into business, get a minor in psychology with a business major. Like it's going to help immensely as you think about your marketing tactics, as you think about I mean, I go back to like how we used to do target and sponsor ads. We had to think like who's sitting where in the arena, like where are they spending money, like what colors are going to gravitate towards them. Like it's all back to that's not marketing, that's psychology. That's psychology. So I think that's very interesting. If I could tell myself heading into college, like pay attention in your psychology classes pretty closely. I'm glad I didn't do a major in it because that's a lot of work and a lot of writing. And I really love this side of the world, but the dabble in psychology was is super helpful.
I definitely agree with that. I took a lot of I should I was thinking about minoring in psychology, but then COVID happened when I was in college. You can that shows my age. I'm very young. Mm, mm, I um did not end up minoring because it's just too much to navigate when also having a pandemic.
With all of your classes online. Yes.
Yeah. But, I took a lot of classes close enough to have a minor, and I think it taught me, like, I fell into marketing so accidentally, and I actually do really like it, but I went to school for political science, and oddly enough,
I was like,
I think
political science is very applicable to marketing of like it's so alive. How do people think? How to buzz like how does the like I have many friends that also did the same of like political science, but fell into marketing and business because I think there's a lot of translation between the 2.
yes, oddly enough, it's maybe too involved in, the US government, but we won't discuss that.
Session topics are a different time.
Yeah, we're not talking about anything controversial on this podcast, we don't talk about controversy here.
Well, okay, so maybe with stress blue or gold. That's the kind of controversy.
Yeah, that kind of yes, we'll talk about funny little silly things. Like, speaking of funny little silly things, well, this isn't silly, I suppose, but what is your favorite part about your job, you think?
Ooh, good question.
There can be many. You can list if you'd like to.
Um, I think my favorite part is I get to work with so many different people at HubSpot. Um, and learn from so many different people. With my job being global, I get to learn how does that translate to our Japan market? What are they thinking in Sydney? What's going on in Dublin? And just hearing different perspectives, and being able to be almost worldly without being worldly, if that makes sense. Like I get to travel the globe from my desk here in Denver, Colorado. So being able to learn from others. Um, I also like the challenge of taking really big concepts and distilling it down to like how do we allow reps to action it. It's really cool to like actually win. Like sometimes there's frustration of like it's like these big problems, these big strategic problems. How does it translate to a behavior? How does it translate to knowledge? How does it like I get the concept. Sometimes I get stuck or like I have to like go for a walk or ruminate and think through it. So sometimes it's really cool to just solve. And just like the hub, I would say at the end of the day, the HubSpot culture. Like I feel it's a place I'm continually growing. I think I alluded to this, like no day is the same in enablement, uh, which I really appreciate. And not everyone loves that. So I will caveat that. Some people like the having the same kind of stuff. Yeah, the consistency. But I love it. And I look back at my enablement career and there's so many different projects that I've been able to work on. Uh, and get involved in. I'm actually our inbound conference is coming up in 2 weeks. And I'll be heading to our inbound conference and I'll get to see our partners, our customers, a lot of the reps I'm working with virtually. So it's like a cool way I'm going to be able to meet them all in person and also continue to learn because it's a cool conference of different tips and tricks across the business. So I'm really excited to learn. And Ryan Reynolds is coming. So I'm really excited to see Ryan and Reynolds. That's my baby.
I absolutely love him. I just watched his Hot Ones.
That's
Yes, his
I
I
just
just saw
saw I Deadpool, I had to do some research. I was like, "This is business research. I need to go to see the Deadpool movie because I'm going to hear him speak. So I need to be fully up to speed of his
so
latest work."
did you watch it?
I did. I went to the movies and saw the newest Deadpool.
So
It
fun.
was so good. So I'm excited to see. I hope Blake Lively's there. That's more what I'm more excited about. Like, hope they decide, maybe in the audience. But yeah, I think that's what's really cool is the culture and the people at HubSpot is if I had to distill it down to that, it's like at the end of the day, I love the people I work with.
Oh, that's so incredible. I always love to hear that. That's my favorite wholesome part of being a part of a team because I talk to a lot of people on this podcast about, their like personal accomplishments and like my favorite thing to hear is being part of a great team or like and it's not they don't think of a personal achievement like an award. They think about it like, oh, I'm just really happy with the people that I work with. And that's like my favorite thing to hear because it's I think that shows to a great work environment, but it also shows to great work. I think that when people aren't happy in their space or they aren't happy with what they do, then the work that they produce is not as great. And I think like it kind of shows like when you're excited and you continue to learn that your quality is even better than it you can imagine. I think that's you know
And I will say it does, not that I'm bragging, but it does translate into awards. Uh, what's the pa-
oh my actually that's such a cute award too. Why is it so cute too?
Yeah.
Oh
There's a couple back there, but I think a lot of these, like I think even this one I got, I didn't feel the full team behind this award of what I got was fully represented. And so the first thing I did was reach out to their managers. I was like, "Hey, I want to do something for them." They weren't acknowledged. Like, I would love to send a $10 gift card to them. Do you have their address? Or like, I want to acknowledge. So I'm somebody that like, yes, I will take the award, but I am the first person to be like, but also this person should have gotten it, and this person should have gotten it, and this person should have gotten it with me or over me because I'm like, at the end of the day, it was teamwork that got us here, not my work. Um,
that's
so yeah,
beautiful.
I'm very into that. I have awards, but I'm always like, I don't think I deserve them because it was a team effort, and making sure that folks are fully acknowledged. But I think back to your point, like because I love the team that I work with and the people I work with, it just translates across all of my work. Even if I get frustrated or have a stressful day, it's like I don't know. I can log on and there's gifs that get sent around on Slacks. There's like funny things. We can all again, I think it comes back to we're all humans, and that really helps to keep in mind that, yes, we're all humans, we're all working towards business goals, but at the end of the day, taking that time can make everything go much further.
I think this is a beautiful note to end on. I like you wound it up so perfectly in this little wholesome note. Thank thank you so much for coming on with me today. This is unfortunately all the time we have today, so I don't mean to cut you off, but that was so incredible and thank you. I really learned a lot from I genuinely say this every podcast. I feel like people are going to get annoyed with me by the amount of times that I say it, but It's my favorite thing to be able to learn on this and to be able to talk to you about your very specific job that I haven't gotten to talk to people like you before this. It's really awesome because I did get to learn a lot, and that's always the best. And that means, it was a successful day. So thank you so much.
Of course.
And thank you, everyone, for watching or listening at home. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to see more professionals like Brittany on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And thank you again, Brittany, for coming on.
Of course. Thanks, Jana.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.